Quite frankly, the fact that Trump is seemingly the only person that is saying he's going to be arrested Tuesday should maybe be a red flag as to how much credence to take into this. His campaign has walked some of this back. So let's start with the first question there, which is the large scope of different things that he is facing beyond just the Manhattan DA. There's the DA in the Atlanta area that is looking into his efforts to overturn the election. We know that the grand jury kind of wrapped up their proceedings there a couple weeks ago, and so we're waiting to see exactly how that DA proceeds.
Kevin Fry, when I see the word plainly appears to be in a political statement. Nothing's ever that simple. Good morning.
Good morning, but certainly the House GOP wants it to be that simple, and I mean it's falling in line with what you've heard from President Trump himself, who has of course labeled these witch hunts throughout the years as he's been investigated from various fronts. Now, in terms of Alvin Bragg's response, he is not surprisingly very much pushing back on this, saying partially in a statement to us that we will not be intimidated by attempts to undermine the justice process, nor will we let baseless accusations deter us from fairly applying the law.
There has not been much happening there so far.
No, quite frankly, it has been relatively low-key. As I described it to someone this morning, it's kind of just your average New York City block, albeit with a ton of media lined up along it. I will say this morning, though, we are seeing certainly much more of an NYPD physical presence. We have a lot more vehicles. You can see behind me. They are expanding kind of the fencing and adding more around. The politics of this are ripe, at least for the Republicans to try to galvanize off of this. And as you mentioned, the fundraising. Trump is going to be utilizing this to his advantage. And one could imagine in his thinking that perhaps even an image of him in handcuffs, or at very least a mugshot, could help rile up his base and help his fundraising even further.
Yep.
While the grand jury will be meeting today, unlike yesterday, they will not actually be taking up or discussing the Trump probe involving those hush money payments to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Now, one, this isn't necessarily extraordinary. We do know that grand juries often juggle multiple cases at the same time, but what this does mean is that it doesn't seem likely that we're going to be getting an indictment, if one were to come, today, because this grand jury has not typically been meeting on Fridays, so this means we're going to be looking to actually next week at the very earliest. The week winds down in much the way it began, with the waiting game playing out here in lower Manhattan outside the DA's office. Trump, of course, had projected that he would be arrested on Tuesday. Tuesday came and went, and that did not happen. Overnight, Trump did send out a message on his social media platform offering a warning that a false charge against him, that's a quote, could be catastrophic for the country, and warning of potential death and destruction as a result. Now, there are two other legal fights that Trump is also facing, both dealing with his efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. One at the federal level, another by a DA in Georgia. Reporting in Manhattan, I'm Kevin Fry, Spectrum News.